Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. We are capacity building for St. John's River2Sea Loop. I'm Tanner Dierko.
I'm Aaron Gamache.
I'm Tommy Bennett.
I'm Max Miller.
I'm Melissa Garner.
So for our needs assessment, we first talked to Maggie Ardito, the president, co-founder, and director of the St. John's River2Sea Loop Alliance. And she helped identify some needs in our local community. Some needs she identified were health and fitness, household economics, and environmental protection. And so using that information from Maggie Ardito, along with some research we did on our own, such as the Dangerous by Design study, which said that it had Florida as the #1 most dangerous state for pedestrians, with 3 of the top 5 most dangerous metropolitan areas in the US being in Central Florida, with the Orlando metro area being ranked the #1 most dangerous metropolitan area for pedestrians. And we also found that 21% of US carbon dioxide emissions were from cars. And so using all of that information, we found needs for increased forms for health and fitness, and an increased need for safe walking and biking trails in Central Florida, along with a need for environmental preservation. Because if we get less cars on the roads and more people on safe biking and walking trails, that'll both help the environment and help their safety and health.
So in order to meet these needs that we discussed about, we partnered with an organization called the St. John's River2Sea Loop Alliance. The St. John's River2Sea Loop Alliance is part of a Florida program called the Shared Use Non-Motorized Trail, or SUN Trail program. This program consists of 2 trail networks, one of which being the St. John's River2Sea Loop, that are designed to be completely free from any sort of motorized or automotive traffic, and thus are safe for alternate means of transportation like bicycling or just walking. When we initially had reached out to we reached out to the president, Maggie Ardito. She emailed us with a long list of tasks that they needed help with. These tasks included things like managing their contact database, writing press releases and getting support for any sort of events that they had coming up, researching something called the Meta Business Suite, help with their social media presence, as well as migrating their website over to a new system because their old one had been outdated.
When we started our project, we set up the timeline that we thought that we could adhere to. On March 15th, the contact and donor lists were organized for their March 20th event, which was Spring to the Springs. On March 31st, business suite options were presented to Maggie, and so she could decide what would help her the most. On April the 7th, the organizational contact databases were up and running, and on April the 7th also, we helped her migrate to WordPress.
So my role in this project was helping migrate their old website to a new system, and we did this by using a system called Wordpress. Wordpress is an online content management system used to build websites. It has access to sort of content blocks that you can insert that translates to HTML, as well as some underlying JavaScript and CSS sort of automation, as well as more direct access to those features if you know how to use them. Additionally, it has support for a lot of themes. The theming options are very versatile with this. So you can kind of create a large variety of looks from using the WordPress platform, depending on what you're trying to go for. And additionally, because the theming is so integrated into all the content that you're putting out with WordPress, the websites created tend to be very consistent and rather intuitive to navigate. So if you look, you can see a picture of their old website. It's very kind of dated looking. It's kind of difficult to navigate. There's a very long title bar. This does not render very well on mobile. A lot of these images kind of get cut off the page or stretch really weird ways. And so I can't show you their in production website yet because it's not completely done. But over here, we have a sample WordPress site, and you can see that it's much cleaner in aesthetic. Things tend to just look a little bit more streamlined to navigate. The title bar itself is much more concise, and I don't have a mobile rendering of the site here, but these tend to render a lot better on mobile because they use something called a responsive design.
Yeah, for my part of the project, as per our first meeting, Maggie mentioned trying to make use of something called Meta Business Suite, which essentially is this separate program from Meta that uses Facebook for the better management of businesses. And it seemed really good, but the problem was Maggie also mentioned that she did not have the time to devote to learning the practical applications of this program. And I saw this as an immediate opportunity to help out, especially when I quickly learned just how busy of a person Maggie was. And with this in mind, I tended to focus exclusively on saving Maggie time with all of the research I did for Meta Business Suite. This included making a document that had lots of instructions and lists and easy to see pictures of exactly how to access every single possible tool and function that I thought would be useful to Maggie. But this also meant that I excluded anything that wasn't necessary to her because I really just wanted to focus on saving her time and making the transition to Meta Business Suite as painless as possible. Through this process, we kind of decided on two main functions that Meta Business Suite had that would be very useful to saving her that time. The first being this calendar function, which, as it sounds, is a calendar, but it allows for the scheduling of both Facebook posts and Instagram posts. And that Instagram post part is a big deal because Maggie had already mentioned that she had some interest in Instagram, but it was a very mobile-only platform. It was very hard to update mobilely when most of her time was spent on the computer with her Facebook, which was River2Sea Loop's main marketing strategy aside from their website. This calendar option allowed Maggie to focus on both an Instagram and Facebook simultaneously while doing just what she would have normally done just from her Facebook account, streamlining the process and saving her a lot of time. And then secondly, Meta Business Suite has built-in WordPress integration, which is a big deal, as Aaron just mentioned, because that is the new system the website is migrating to. So with feature integration of Meta Business Suite and the WordPress website, Maggie's hoping to achieve some kind of a linkage between the two with automatic posting of information that gets added to the website or vice versa, Facebook posts or Instagram posts that automatically get transferred to the website so everybody can see it.
So my part of the project was working on database management. Basically, I wanted to help streamline the usage for the St. John's River2Sea Loop Alliance and Maggie Ardito. And so in order to do so, I did research into the database that they use. It's called Airtable. And I did research into ways that I could help automate it and make it easy for them to continue to update their database and make it cleaner and more streamlined. And so in order to do that, I found the mini extensions tool for Airtable, which basically allowed them to select what they wanted to delete from their database and be able to delete it with the click of a button, which is not available. It's not readily available without the use of such tools.
For my part of the project, I focused on the River2Sea Loop Alliance's social media presence. What I found is that they have an Instagram account that's updated regularly with pretty cool pictures, but their engagement is extremely low, with some pictures only having 1 like. So what I wanted to do was find ways for them to engage with the local community, meaning businesses, residents, and local organizations. So what I did was I did research on bike clubs and organizations around the area of Volusia County, Brevard County, Flagler County, and Putnam County. And I culminated all of them as into groups as for the organization to connect with to help grow their social media presence. With a greater social media presence, it'll be a better tool for the Alliance for Organizational Advancement. And because with better social media presence, they'll be better able to garner support with it.
My skill set is considerably different. I do not have the same skills as the guys. I am a writer. And so what I donated to the project, the skills I donated to the project, where I revised the press releases, I inserted different words. It's a common knowledge among writers that one comma can change the entire meaning of a sentence. So I took advantage of that. And on the next slide, this was the original press release. It's very dry. It's very, well, it's boring. And it's not inviting. And this is where I changed it. This is how I changed it. I added some words. I added punctuation. I made it more exciting and a little longer, a little more descriptive of the actual rides and the trails, so that people would enjoy being there and they would want to come in and see what it was all about.
As for our sustainability, through our different marketing practices that we worked on with Maggie, we were able to attract new permanent followers to River2Sea Loop. And that's only a fraction of what we did, because by expanding the different bases and platforms that our marketing was on, we were able to attract new groups and demographics that Maggie was previously unable to target through Meta Business Suite and Instagram and physical press releases. Things like that really helped her out in the long run. Additionally, just as adding different infrastructural helping tasks allowed her to, it's going to allow her for the far future to work on what she does a lot faster. As for what we learned, ever since we received that first list of tasks from Maggie, we kind of had a problem learning on what each of us was going to do, but we really learned how to delegate tasks amongst ourselves, especially focusing on our own uniquenesses and strengths. Aaron has had experience with WordPress before, so he's a natural fit to work on the website. Melissa is an avid writer, and therefore press releases just came natural to her. By identifying our own strengths and then deciding what we do from there allowed us to accomplish what we did in a way that if we did not split up and delegate, there was no way we would have been able to accomplish what we did. Same thing with time, especially when working with an online partner. The delegation of our own time was really important to us. We had to account for things that we didn't initially expect, like email times and work days, follow-up emails. Things like that take a lot out of our own time. So to us, goals and deadlines became like a necessity. They were important for us to accomplish what we wanted to do. Without our delegation of time, there's no way, once again, we would be able to get done what we did. And lastly, just the idea of marketing. Marketing was a science that none of us really had immense experience in. And by marketing for an actual functioning organization, we were able to learn a lot and experience a lot. That's going to help us for the rest of our endeavors moving on, whether we market ourselves or other fully established organizations in the future. And with that, all of that in mind, thank you for your attention.